I'm going to start the class, okay?
Okay. Bye. Have a nice day.
Bye. Just okay. Hi, girls. So, all of you, did you all get last time notes? Did you all get the notes?
Yes, Miss, I
Yes?
sent.
No?
Yes.
Okay. Let all be in mute. Okay. So today, we have to go through with learning theories. Okay. So we discussed about teaching and methods, isn't it? Today we are doing education psychology, not counseling and guiding. Okay. Tomorrow we will do counseling and guiding. Okay. Right. Good. So today we are going to do the education psychology. In education psychology, we have completed the introduction and what else? Introduction is completed and history. I gave you a homework. Did you all complete the homework? Who completed the homework? No one? I asked you to do the history search. Okay, Tanya is in. Amrita, Christine, Sanushika, Sangavi. Who did? Tanya, did you do? Tanya?
Yes.
Searching for the book. Okay.
Hello.
Did you do the finding on the street? Sangavi?
Miss.
So, Christine, you are hearing? Can you hear me? Sanshika sent the homework. Sanshika didn't come, no? Class? Sanshika? You didn't come to class, no? I can't hear you. You are on mute.
Miss, want to unmute all. Amrita only can do that one.
Tanya, did you do?
I did the homework.
You did the homework. Okay. So, if you do the homework, you all know context is a very important person in this subject. Okay, Edward Thorndike is an important person in this subject. He has created 3 laws in learning, right? Laws of learning. Do you know that? What are the 3 laws of learning? What are the laws of learning?
Ma'am, I can't hear you.
What's this? Who can't hear me now?
Ma'am, let me know.
Netmini, right? Netmini, hello? Netmini, can you hear me?
I can't clear, ma'am.
It's not clear to you.
Still not, ma'am.
Something maybe wrong with your
Switch off your
internet?
videos. Switch off your videos, then you can hear.
Because the internet connection, if your internet connection is not clear, then you can't hear. So if you switch off your videos, then you can improve your quality of hearing. Let me know. You off your video.
Okay.
Off your video. Okay. Is it better now? Let me know.
Yeah.
Is it better now?
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Video.
Okay. Time is running. Okay, if you all have your notebooks with you, just take down. If there is a difficult word, you can see a board behind me.
Yes.
Can you see the board behind me?
Yes.
Yes, I will be writing the spelling on that, so you can see that. Because other than this slide that I have shared with you, I'll be giving more inputs, so you have to take down. Understand? Okay. Right. So Edward Lee Thorndike, he was a professor in America. He is an American psychologist. Okay, he's a professor, and who developed a lot of theories on learning, especially learning and teaching. So he's mostly an educational psychologist. So Thorndike's theories are considered as the precursors of American behaviorism. He is basically a behaviorist. Okay, so the behaviorism that would find its maximum exponent in the figures of Skinner. So Thorndike is a student of Skinner. Okay, you know who Skinner is. We learned, isn't it? Who is Skinner? He is the father of operant conditioning. We learned about it. If you all did your searches properly, then you all know about this, right? Okay. So, according to Edward Thorndike, there are 3 laws in learning. First is law of preparation. Law of preparation. Take it down. So, law of preparation that affirms that the preparation or disposition of the subject. Are you taking down?
Yes.
Okay, good. Law of the preparation that affirms that the preparation or disposition of the subject contributes to the learning. In other words, that the own expectation of the subject constitute the intrinsic. You want to spell it? You can see the spelling, right? Somebody confirm. Can you see the spelling?
Yeah, can see.
Okay. intrinsic reinforcement of all action. Okay, so law of preparation in the sense, according to Thorne, he says, law of preparation, it should born from the person. The person who is studying, the learner, should have a preparation within him to learn. Okay? So if you want to teach someone, the person who is learning, the learnee, has to have a own preparation and a motivation within them. Okay? So that is a first law of learning. Okay? That is the first law of learning, law of the preparation. They have to have an inner goal, inner need, inner motivation, or in other words, it's a preparation, inner preparation. They should have a need to learn. They should have a self-motivation to learn. Okay? So the second law, law of exercise. Law of exercise. Law of exercise. That sustains that the exercise, or the practice of the appropriate response contributes
of
to
the
strengthening
appropriate
response contributes to strengthening the connection between stimulus and the corresponding response. Okay, this is about SR relationship. We call it SR relationship, like stimulus and response, right? So stimulus, in a sense, they should have an appropriate response. Now, we are all teaching here. If you give the response, now I'm asking you, can you hear me? Do you know this? So I expect a response from you all. So I'm the stimuli. I expect a response which is appropriate from you all, isn't it? So that is what this law of exercise means, the SR reaction. If I give the proper stimulus, if I stimulate you properly, then you will give me a response. So according to the stimulus, the response will change. So until we get the appropriate response, we do the stimulus continuously. So we keep exercising this. So sometimes this we call, in other words, how we say, we try something, we fail, and we learn from the mistakes and come back and learn again. You understand? Okay.
Yeah.
Can't expect that response now. It's okay, fine. So the law of exercise is the relationship between the stimulus and the response. Okay. So appropriate and continuous exercise of stimulus and correction of responses will create a proper stimulus and an appropriate response. You all understand? Good. So the third law, law of effect. Law of effect. This is considered, take down, this is considered the most important. This is considered the most important. According to this law, the succession of stimuli and responses, the succession of stimuli and responses is not enough for learning to occur. For the learning to happen, reinforcement is needed. This is that when an act is followed,
Miss, learning to happen.
learning to happen, reinforcement is needed. Reinforcement. Do you want the spelling? Reinforcement. Reinforcement. Can you see?
Yeah, we can see the board.
Okay. Are you all?
Reinforcement.
Okay. தலைகீழா தெரியுது சரியா தெரியுதா?
சரியா தெரியுது
சரியா
மிஸ்.
தெரியுது.
Fine, good. Reinforcement is needed. Now I'll give you reinforcement, right? This is that when an act is followed by
Miss, can you repeat the line again?
This is that
Okay.
when an act is followed by a reward, it tends to repeat itself. It tends to repeat itself. It tends, T-E-N-D-S, tends to repeat itself. Whereas when it is followed by punishment, the probability of its repetition decreases. You just came. The new Michelle Tanya. Decreases. So, okay, law of effect is the most important thing because it considered, according to this law, this stimulus and the response is not enough for learning. Okay, to keep the learning in a proper direction and give them the proper idea of this is right, this is wrong, or this is good, or this is bad, and all those things, you have to enforce some reinforcement. The proper learning happens when there is a reinforcement. What is reinforcement? Okay, we'll say, if I say, okay, Sangavi, you did a good job, what is that? I am giving a reinforcement of appreciation. Appreciation is a reinforcement. It means I'm giving her some gift or some reward. So that is reinforcement. So if Sangavi did something wrong and if I give her a punishment, it means she stopped doing that. So that is negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is giving a reward. Or no, for a kid in a class, somebody who are working in schools, you know, for kids, if you say, okay, who comes first will get a bar of chocolate. So that is a reward. So children try to do that faster and proper to get that, in order to get that bar of chocolate. Okay. So in this case, we are using the chocolate as a reinforcement, that is positive reinforcement. Okay. When you learn deep about this reinforcement, Skinner did, you will learn a lot of things. There are a lot of sub-subjects in the reinforcement. What are the reinforcement, negatives and positives, and all those things we will learn now. Okay, in the learning process we will learn now. What is reinforcement? So, law of reinforcement makes the learning better. Okay, so the punishment will stop. That is a kind of a negative reinforcement, and the reward is a positive reinforcement. Okay. Any questions so far in these three laws?
No, ma'am.
I don't think. Okay. So now I'm sharing my screen. You all have this. Okay. If you have any questions, unmute your whatever the thing
Mic.
and mic. Yeah, right. Ask me the question. Okay. Right. Right. Can you see the right? How do people learn? We don't know. Okay? But there are 6 main theories. There are 6 main theories in learning.
Okay.
Right. So, one is behaviorism. What is behaviorism? People try to, the psychologists, they take certain behaviors of people, students, infants, or anyone. They took certain behavioristic characteristics and they try to explain this is how people learn. And cognitivism. Cognitivism, the way of decision making, reasoning, and how they pursue things comes under cognitivism. So cognitivism tries to explain the learning in the way of persuasion and decision making, reasoning, and all those things. And social learning theory, that says how people learn from the society. And with peer pressure, some people learn through the peer pressure, some people don't learn because of the peer pressure. Some people learn from their models and all those things. So we'll learn about this. And multiple intelligence, some have some born talents. So that comes with multiple intelligence and brain-based. How your brain is, now we know some people use their left hand, some people use right. So we say those who use right hands, their left brain is working. Those who use left hand, their right brain is working. Right? According to that, we come to some conclusions that they are good in this, they are good in that, and all those. So, brain-based learning is something else. Okay, we are moving on to the next. Behaviorism. Confined to observable and measurable behaviors. So, behaviorism is based on the observable and measurable behaviors only. So, there are 2 types of behavior researches has been done. One is classical conditioning of Pavlov. We have discussed about this before in the class. Do you all remember that we discussed about this a person who tried to tie up a dog and measure the saliva when the bell rings and they give the food to the dog? So that is classical conditioning. Pavlov did that. And operant conditioning is Skinner. Skinner kept the rat in a box and asked him to find a way out. The liver thing, we discussed this in the class. So that is operant conditioning. So giving reinforcements and see whether they come out or not. Okay? Right. So classical conditioning, a stimulus is presented in order to get a response. According to classical conditioning, they say there should be a stimulus. There should be something should be there to stimulate you to get a response. So that if that stimulus stops, your response also stops. That is classical conditioning theory. Operant conditioning, the response is made first, then reinforcement follows. Somehow, the response, it means when you put a rat in the box, and when the rat makes the way out, rat is anyway try to come out. Okay? So, after coming out, as a reinforcement, appreciation, if you give them some food, and for other rat, he doesn't give food. He gave a small electric shock. So the rat who gets rewards try to come out faster than the rat who didn't get the reinforcement, positive reinforcement. Okay? So the response, anyway, the rat try to come out. But the response, the reinforcement, either speed up the response or delay the response. So that is operant conditioning. Continuing with the reinforcement. Hope you all understand. If not, just ask me. Okay. Learning is defined by the outward expression of new behaviors. Okay? Learning is defined by the outward. Now, I don't know whether you are learning or you're sleeping at the moment because I don't get any response at the moment. Right? But in the class, you all definitely know whether the child is learning. So whenever you don't get the appropriate response, you try to give more stimulus to the kid to learn some more. Right? Focuses solely on observable behaviors. Behaviorism only consider the observable behaviors. Sometimes we may think that the kid is daydreaming. They are not watching. They are not listening properly or something. But maybe the style of learning is different. But in behaviorism, we only take the observable and measurable contents only. The third one is the biological basis of learning. This is a biological basis of learning, right? Because we need some measures, we need to do some observation. So this is biological basis of learning. Learning is context independent. There is no frameworks or anything on this. There is no big theories. It's very independent context. Classical and operant conditioning reflexes and feedback. When you give only the food and ring the bell and give food. When you don't give the food but still ring the bell, even then the dog salivates. Okay? You ring the bell and what followed it is, he trained a dog before giving food to the dog, he rings the bell and then gives. So whenever the dog hears the bell noise, he started salivating because expecting that he will get the food after the bell rings. Right? So that is reflex. Feedback and reinforcement Skinner did in the pigeon box or rat box, that is reinforcement. That I have explained you. Okay. The third one, behaviorism in the classroom. Any questions? Pavlov's and Skinner's theory I have explained in the class, I guess, before. Sangavi?
Yes, miss.
We did, no?
Yeah.
Any questions? No. Okay.
Any questions?
Behaviorism in the classroom. Rewards and punishments. So, in the classroom, what we do? That is, we discussed. No? Normally, in the classroom, what we do, if you give the proper answer, teacher will say, good children, good girl, good boy, and all those things. If not, punishments are not allowed. Corporal punishments are not allowed, but other punishments, okay, write this 10 times, or write this 100 times, call your parents, or go and stand outside the room. All these things we do. So rewards and punishments are given in the classroom, and responsibility for students learning rests squarely with the teacher. Okay, so for the students, we give the responsibility by being a teacher in the class, and we give them a responsibility to learn, and lecture-based, highly structured. Now, what we are doing now, we prepared the notes, gave it to you, and we are having a board, classroom, and everything in a classroom setup, lecture-based. So we give you a short note, and we expect you to do your own study packs, own researches and study on the short notes. And when we are doing the lectures, we give more examples and things. That's how we do in higher classes. Lower classes, we do everything in the class with the students and everything. But in higher classes and in universities, we do lecture-based, structured behavior classroom learning. So this is how the behaviorism goes in the classroom. Okay, so what are the criticism of behaviorism? As I said you before, does not account for processes taking place in the mind that cannot be observed. Now you see, as I told you before, the student, you see a student in the class, he must be really observing you. He must be really doing, but you don't get an appropriate response from him by nodding or asking questions. Now you see, you're all very good children, all of you are listening, I know that. But since I'm not getting a response from you all, according to the situation now, I can't get the proper response. So I think you are not learning. You are not paying attention, right? So if I am a behaviorist, this is a drawback in behaviorism calculation, behaviorism theory, because it doesn't take unmeasurable responses. Okay, so that is one. They are not taking account of processes that take in your mind. Now, when I'm telling this, some of you will draw a picture in your mind. Some of you will just listen to the words. Some of you want to write. Your mind-based learning might be different to person, but that is not considered in behaviorism. Right. The other one is advocates for passive student learning in a teacher-centric environment. Now, this is, according to behaviorism, there should be a response. There should be reinforcement, right? But children tend to learn from modeling as well, isn't it? They see a role model, they try to dress, they try to act, they try to imitate according to their model. So that is also not taken into consideration in behaviorism. Okay, one size fits all. Now this is another problem in behaviorism, because they take, according to them, all the dogs have to salivate if they condition properly. Now I have spoke to you about this little Albert thing, right? So according to that psychologist, he says, give me any number of children to me, irrespective of race, color, background, and anything. I will make them what you need. Whatever you want. Okay, if you want him to become doctor, by conditioning, behavioral conditioning, I will make him a doctor. If you want him to be a thief, I will make him a thief, irrespective of his family background or DNA or anything. So that is what behaviorist believes. But is it possible? No, it's not possible. So according to behaviorist, it should fit to one theory should fit to all, but whereas it is not possible with all the people. Okay. The other one is knowledge itself is given an absolute. Now, according to there, it's very simple. Absolute knowledge is given. They expect them to take the knowledge absolutely like as it is, where it is not possible with everyone. Programs, instruction, and teacher process. Now, this is what, like, we create a frame. Behaviorists, they create a frame and try to put everything and prove it. Nothing goes out, nothing comes out. So that type of rigid theory is this. Behaviorist theory is something pretty rigid because they have certain categories and they try to put all the students into this. So these are the critics of behaviorism. Why behaviorism theory is not fit to everyone because of these reasons. Any questions? Unmute everyone. Any questions? I want to hear everyone.
No, miss.
Any questions?
No, miss.
Sangavi? Anushika? Tanya? Nitni? Amrita? Okay. So we are moving to next. Very good class. No questions at all. Okay. Cognitivism. Now what is cognitivism? Jonathan. Okay. Drew in response to behaviorism. Now this came from behaviorism actually. Cognitivism came from behaviorism, but pretty much developed. Okay, pretty much developed from behaviorism. Knowledge is stored cognitively as symbols. Cognitivism believes knowledge is stored cognitively as symbols. It means how you perceive, how you see things, how you take, how you reason a thing will store according to us, according to that in the mind. So that is what cognitivism believes. Now, some kids, they learn certain subject very interestingly, very enthusiastically because of the teacher. Because they like the teacher, so their mind is very much attached to that particular subject. If they don't like the teacher, they don't like the subject sometimes. Right? This is because of the persuasion that they get from the mind. Okay? So, learning is the process of connecting symbols in a meaningful and memorable way. Learning is the process of connecting symbols in a meaningful and memorable way. So, when they learn things, cognitivism says when you learn things, you take according to your perception, you keep it in the mind. Okay? So when you learn something else, you connect those also and learn. Right? So this comes from that. Now, Pavlov's dog theory, dog salivating theory, they take it into the other level of cognitivism. So when they ring the bell and give him the food, give the dog the food, he started salivating. After some time, they realized this dog is salivating without the bell, but even when he sees the person who gives the food also. You understand? He starts salivating when he sees a person with a white color coat, because the lab assistant always goes and keep the food. Right? So they are using the bell, but dog has salivating for the person who is wearing a coat also, even if he doesn't have a food in his hand. Okay. It means dog has symbolized that person and the coat, the white coat, as connecting to the food. Okay. So dog started salivating. So they see, why is this? They are thinking, so that takes them to the other level, cognitivism. So dog has symbolized that coat as a stimuli. So not only the expected thing, but something unexpected, which the dog symbolized. Okay? And also, if they do this, they ring the bell and didn't give food. Again they ring the bell, they didn't give food. So after some time, dog stops salivating, or salivation is reduced, because the dog knows even the bell rings, he don't get food. So his cognition is changed. So these incidents took them from the behaviorism to cognitivism. Okay? So you symbolize things and you connect to the stimulus and connect to the learning and create meaningful, memorable ways. The learning happen in another way than you expected. Okay? Right. So have your children remember things in a totally different and unexpected ways. There are students do those things. We expect them to remember things in one way, but they remember things in other ways. Right? And studies focused on the mental processes that facilitate symbol connection. Studies focused on the mental process that facilitate symbol connection. So in this cognitivism, they develop this learning styles, learning methods, and all those things have been started to emerge after this cognitivism symbol methods. Okay? Right. So cognitivism in the classroom. Inquiry-oriented projects. Now, why we do all these experiments, lab experiments, and all those things? We show pictures, we show flashcards, we show symbols, we write on the board, all these things to symbolize, to give some symbols for them to connect with. Okay? Opportunities for the testing of hypothesis. Now, when you say, okay, you put this blue litmus paper into a acid and it will become red. If you just say this, they can draw a picture in their mind and they can try to learn. But when you do the test in the classroom, you take a litmus paper and put it into the acid and see, when they see that becomes red, then it is more effective than just telling. Okay, so testing hypothesis, opportunities for the testing hypothesis. So in the classroom, we give the opportunity. Curiosity encouraged. Now, we are encouraging the curiosity to learn. In cognitivism, we encourage them to learn more and stage scaffolding. So we are letting them to develop more curiosity and climb the ladder up. So criticism. Even in this, there are some criticism. Why? Like behaviorism, knowledge itself is given and absolute. Here also, we are just giving the knowledge. Only thing, we are giving some more symbols for them to learn. So that is one criticism. The other one is input, process, output model is mechanistic and deterministic. Just doing things in the classroom and showing things in the classroom, it means input, process, output. That model is more mechanical. And other one is does not account enough for individuality. So there is an individuality in everyone. Each and everyone has the individuality. It is not taking that into consideration. And the other one is little emphasis on affective characteristics. Very little emphasis were used in characteristics. So those are the criticism of cognitivism. Right. Any questions? I want to hear everyone. Any questions?
No, ma'am.
I told you, you will get questions when you know everything or you don't know
Anything.
anything. So how can I take it now? You know everything.
We'll go through
I
this.
assume that you know everything. When you go through again, you will get questions. Is that so?
Yes.
What were you doing all these days, kids?
Staying home, reading books.
Staying home. Who is reading books?
Reading means like magazines, church magazines, Bible reading, prayer, cooking.
Bible reading, church, cooking. Oh, good, cooking. What else?
Talking with neighbors.
And
And finding
distance,
funds. Yeah, finding funds to giving for our people. In our scheme, people, we helped and we are trying to help them. Like that only
That's
we
a
are
good
doing.
thing. That's a good deed. Let me, what are you doing? Let me, can you hear me?
Wait, I will mute all my...
Mute. Mic mute.
Wait.
I don't know whether she...
Okay. I think everyone can speak. Hello.
I think you have muted everyone.
Yeah. Unmute. Yeah. Sangavi. Sangavi is sleeping? No.
Me, can you hear me? Let me.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. What did you do all these days?
Watching TV and playing badminton. Watching TV and playing badminton.
Watching TV and playing badminton. Okay. Good. Do something. Make sure that you are fitting into all your clothes. Okay. So do some exercises as well. Otherwise,
what are you doing?
You have to find clothes. Me, I have enough. I'm going to see. I'm teaching. I'm doing phone counseling, and I have 2 cats in their home, running behind them. Okay, so doing a lot. But still, I find more time, I guess. Okay. So, any questions so far?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So, I have sent you all other previous notes as well. It's much more detailed. Just go through. If you have any questions, you keep it in the next class. Tomorrow we have a class for
Okay.
counseling and guidance. What time, Sangavi? Sangavi, what time is it? Tomorrow.
12 to 2.
12 to 2 tomorrow.
Yeah.
So 12 to 2 we have a class tomorrow on guidance and counseling. So in that class you can I give you half an hour time to ask questions. You all can ask me questions on any of this education psychology also. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So what you have to do is you have to go through the notes properly. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Good. Okay. So back to the slides. So, social learning theory, SLT. SLT, not Sri Lanka, telecom, okay? It's social learning theory. This grew out from cognitivism, right? So, cognitivism gave symbols to make meaningful learning process, right? So, social learning theory came from that. As we said, people learn not only from the inputs what we give, also from outside things. Sometimes the teacher itself can be a learning stimulus, as I told you. So, this grew out of cognitivism. Albert Bandura is the founder of the social learning theory, right? So, hope you all did your researches and you know about Albert Bandura as well. Right. Learning takes place through observation and sensorial experience. Right. So I told you about one of my students in the kindergarten student. She observed me and she tried to dress like me, always matching the colors and all those things. That is kind of social learning. She takes a person as a model, role model. Okay, all of us have some role models and we try to pretend like them. We try to pretend that we are doing certain things like them. We try to act, we try to imitate. We do all those things to become like that. But you better get some proper role models, not the actresses and all these stupid people. Okay, I'm not calling actresses stupid, but still. Whom we take as role model, we become. So we have to be very careful whom we are considered as our role model. Okay. So learning takes place through observation and sensorial experience. Sensorial means how you sense, how you hear, how you feel, how you see, all these things. Imitations is the sincerest form of flattery. So we try to imitate, isn't it? So that small girl I was talking about, she tried to imitate. When she wears a pink color dress, she tried to wear a pink color shoe, pink color earring, pink color hairband, and all these things. So that is flatters her. So that makes her to pay more attention and give more interest towards the subject that we are teaching. Okay, so they try to imitate, and that flatters. That flatteration gives them more motivation towards learning. Okay, so social learning theory is the basis of movement against violence in media and video games. Right? Now, have you seen that small kids, whenever they are watching TV, and when they are more attracted towards the hero or the good person in the movie, and whenever the good person gets assaulted by the bad person or anything, they try to jump in and, hey, don't do that. Have seen
Yeah.
children are doing like that? I have seen, even my son, my daughter,
Yes.
they do things like that. They do. Like, hey, don't look, and they feel very upset, all these things. So it is, again, they are acting against the violence. But if you keep doing this, if they keep watching, if they get attracted to the violence, then it will give a reaction other way around. So we have to have a balance. That will be a criticism in this also, we will learn later. Learning from models. Learning from models. That's why all these social workers or anyone who oppose this advertisements or in the movies they show drinking habits, smoking habits or some other unnecessary things, they are much more against to that, because children try to learn by modeling mostly. They try to learn from their models. So once these people have been established as models in the society, they expect some sort of good behaviors from them, because they, in their small mind, it will they will start think that this is also part of heroism. It's okay to do this kind of thoughts or ideas they might incorporate from these models. So that is why these social activists or any person who is more involved with children or educationists are thoroughly against these malpractices of established figures in the society. Right? So we might think why these people are, this is just a movie, why do they have to be against on all these things? But there is a reason. There is a reason, because once they have been established as a good person, and mostly these young minds expect, the young minds who took them as a models can learn or can generalize things through their behavior. That is the reason. Right. So, research indicates that the following factors influence the strength of learning from models. How much power the model seems to have. Now you see, that is the reason all these Spider-Man, Superman, and all these people, all these models, all these characters are more attached to these kids, because they enjoy that superpower. They enjoy that superpower. Okay, so how much power the model seems to have. So more powerful characters shown in the TV, shown in the social medias or anything, that attracts the normal person. How capable the model seems to be. The capability also. How nurturing or caring the model seems to be. Okay, how they care, how they do, how they care. So that's why all these supermodels seems to care about the world, society. They do a lot of social work. They dedicate themselves, even they risk their life to save the world. Right? So that is how you can capture. That is the psychology behind all these superpower movies. When you show something superpower, and when you add some caring and capabilities into that character, that will reach more among the viewers. So that is the psychology behind it. How similar the learner perceives self and model. Now, we know that we can't, as elders, we know that we can't do it. Actually, that is not true. But still, we enjoy watching it. enjoy seeing that, because so we all have this anger towards people who assault poor. Okay, so but we can't go and assault them back. But whenever we see some hero goes and assaults those kind of people, we feel very happy. We see our anger on them. Within them, we see our own anger. So we relate to the similarity. How many models learn? How many models the learner observes? You can have multiple models. Okay, right. So these are the influence, the strength of learning from the models.
But ma'am, children will
Yeah.
get affect, no ma'am, if they are like Spider-Man and Superman, those cartoons they are looking now. So if they are going more interest on it, will be addicted or not? Will they?
Yes, definitely they will. That's why I said. That's why
So,
we have to. Yeah.
Then how can we take them out from that?
Yeah, that comes a different subject now. Addiction. That's why we ask them to limit the timing.
Okay.
Not more than half an hour. Not more than 1 hour. Anything not more than 1 hour. We have to deviate them. We have to deviate them from that. We have to sit with them. So there are movies. It says more than 13. Or there are movies they say only with assistant with the parent. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
We have to practice those things. Otherwise, what you said is true, because children, they get more affected. It's our mistake, because we just give them the movie to make sure that they don't disturb us.
Yeah.
Right? And we let them watch whatever they want and whatever the amount of the time that they want. That is wrong. This should be under observation. We have to limit. We have to tell them, okay, you see that is superpower which normal people doesn't have. So we have to give this news again and again to their mind until they realize that is not 100% true. It's all camera tricks. So that is the reason in every English movie you see after the movies, they come up with making videos. How they flew, the flying things and all, how they did. The roads and all, these cranes, and they show everything to make sure the kids won't get overreacting on those. You understand?
Okay. Yeah.
Otherwise it will be a problem. So we parents have to take care. Teachers, parents, whomever the responsible person in the society, we have to take care of kids' mind, and we have to tell them it is not true. It's satisfying. You can take the good part of it. Yes, you have to stand against whatever the wrong things happening in the society, but you can't do these things. It's good if you have somebody like that, but you can't do that. So that's fiction. So you have to tell them. Okay? You understand?
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
So that is we are acting responsibly, and we can't tell that kids are get carried over, right? Because nowadays parents are doing that. Just they don't want to get disturbed, they let them watch whatever they want. You have to monitor. We have to monitor.
True.
Right? That's how.
Yeah. Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Good question, ma'am. Who is this?
Amrita.
Amrita. Okay. Good question, Amrita. Okay. So interrelated processes establish and strengthen identification with the model. Okay. 4 interrelated processes establish and strengthen identification with the model. First is, children want to be like the model. But you ask, children want to be like the model. children believe they are like the model. That's why these children, they wear Superman t-shirts, right? All these things are very popular among children because they think they are like them. Children experience emotions like those the model is feeling. They also get hungry. Oh, how can you do that? No, it's wrong. Like that. And children act like the model. Right? So we have to. These are interrelated, interconnected. And they establish this trend with the model. Okay? So children think they like to be the model. They believe they are like them. And they experience the emotions. And also they try to act like the model. So we have to be very, very, very responsible. Social learning theory, through identification, children come to believe they have the same characteristics as the model. When they identify with the natural and competent model, children feel pleased and proud. When they identify with an inadequate model, children feel unhappy and insecure. Now, when they see themselves with a good model. Now, we are talking about these characters in the TV and all. No? Now, we say in the normal circumstances, I have seen now in one of my clients, she has some PTSDs, post-traumatic stress disorders, right? So we are trying to fix the traumatic stress disorders. It's not getting fixed. We are trying the EMDR process and everything. It's not getting fixed. The reason is she has a issue with her because she thinks she is bad. Because when her parents died, her grandma said, "You also like your uncle. He also ate his parents." So she has been criticized to the wrong model. So that is in her mind, and she is insecure, and she believes that she has some bad vibrations in her, bad luck in her, right? So because of that belief, she can't settle her stress, post-traumatic stress. So after that, we have to stop all these things, and we worked on that and took her out from that situation, and then we started curing the post-traumatic stress, right? So that is very difficult. When you, that's why we always say, when you are talking to a kid, when you are telling, you are good as this person, you are good as this person, when you are modeling, when you are comparing a kid, comparison is very bad. Even though when you are comparing, you have to compare with good things, not with the bad things. Even with anger or some frustration, some parents, they used to do this. Some teachers, they used to do this. You are good to look after a cattle, something like that, buffaloes, something like that. But that can affect the kids' social learning, okay, because they can feel unhappy and insecure. They might feel that they are not good for nothing. So comparison has to be very, very careful, okay. So modeling also comes with that, right? Now you see the children who live in the surrounding of abusive parents or abusive neighborhoods, they also learn the filthy words. And they think, okay, this is how we have to live. If they see a bad person who is very powerful in that area and everybody is praising him, so that is the persuasion that he will get. that is the learning that he will get from the society. He thinks being a bad person is the best thing to do. So you will be appreciated by everyone. So bad modeling. Okay? But when they get to know that their models are bad, then they will become unhappy and insecure, and they react in a defensive mood. So that will bring lot of issues in their lives. Okay? Any questions? Or go on mute. Any questions?
No, ma'am. So far.
Any questions? No. Okay, I'm proceeding. SLT in the classroom, collaborative learning and group works. So when you give group works and collaborative learning, they try to learn from their peers and their models. They try to learn from others' ideas. They try to patch up, and all these things will give them more learning capacities and modeling responses and expectations. Okay, so not only not only the people, not only a person, there are a lot of things can be modeled. Okay, so they learn from that. Opportunities to observe experts in action. So you create opportunities for them to, okay, we'll say in the classroom you talk about some good education is, then you play some speeches of Dr. Abdul Kalam or someone like that. Then it's opportunity to observe the expert in that. Okay, so when you talk about good poetries and all those things, you give opportunity to listen to the poetries of good poets. When you talk about good stories and all those things, you give them the opportunity to listen to good stories. So like that, you create an opportunity to observe and expert in action. That is why those days our teachers used to take us to places. Now when we are learning about weather forecasting, weather and all these things, they take us to the weather forecasting place, and they let us listen to the weather reporters, people who work in the department. So we get more knowledge from the experts. So whenever we talk about ships and aircrafts and everything, they take us to the ships or aircraft, and they let us talk with the pilots or the ship captains or anyone. We observe them talking about those things. Then we get more ideas and more opportunity to listen to the experts on it. So that's how we create social learning in the classroom. Okay, what are the criticisms can be in social learning? Does not take into account individuality, context, and experience as mediating factors. Does not take into account individuality, context, and experience as mediating factors. Now, I might get a different experience in the same thing. Another person might get a different experience. The same, whatever we are facing is same. The social activity is same, but the experience what I get will not be same as the other person. So that is not taken into account. Fudge's students learn best as passive receivers of sensory stimuli as opposed to being active learners. Now, they'll be passive learners, not active learners. Because the model, they see the model, they listen to them, they are just passive. not active. They are not participating. They are just listening and observing. Only that is happening. Emotions, because there is something superior to us is there, isn't it? So there we are passive learning. We are doing passive learner, not active. Being an active learner is opposed in that situation. Emotions and motivations not considered important or connected to learning. Here, only the modeling, only the social learning. Your emotions, the inner motivation or external motivation is not considered as important or connected to learning. Okay? Because there the expert or the model is the thing which is more considered, not the learner's participation. Okay? Right. Because there we see some superstitious things. So we don't get the chance of being active in that. Okay, the next. I'm now moving to next. Any questions? Any questions?
No.
Tanya, question?
No.
No. Okay. Okay, then I take silence as no. I'm moving to the next because 11 o'clock we have to stop. Huh? Constructivism grew out of an response to cognitivism framed around metacognition. Right? Grew out of and in response to cognitivism framed around metacognition. Knowledge is actively constructed. Okay? Here the knowledge is constructed. Now we talk about cognitivism and metacognitivism. Okay? So knowledge is actively constructed in this learning. Learning is a search of meaning by the learner. Now this learning happens from the learner's side. Okay? Mostly. Contextualization, it means you search for that and you find the contents. And inherently social activity, dialogic and recursive, the responsibility of the learner. So the learning is done mostly by the learner, not by the teacher. Okay, learning born from the learner's research, context, and inherent social activity. So here comes all your assignment work, all your social work, field work, everything is social constructive learning, where you get into the field and do your research and learn. So that's why I always ask you to write it back, go do your searches and write your own feedback. You understand? So then you can construct a proper learning within you. Understand? Right. Social constructivism, Lev Vygotsky. This name is pretty, it's a Russian name actually, he's a Russian. He worked with Pavlov. Okay, he worked with Pavlov. So he got it from him. So social learning, in the social learning, zone of proximal development. So you see this, child's current achievement, zone of proximal development beyond reach at present. Okay? Current achievement can lead them, if they do their own researches and own self-study and all these things, that can go up to the zone of proximal development. What is the proximal development that they can go? Okay. So, social constructivism in the classroom. So that's why we ask you to journal things, right? Whenever now when I'm talking in lecturing methods, we always ask you to journal. We always ask you to write. Take some text. Find something on your own. Write something what you really understood. Or ask questions. All these things. Journaling and experiential activities. Experiential activities in the sense, you get into the field and do the field researches, talk to people who are experts in that subject or experts in that area, and get the get whatever you observe in that, your own observation, your own learning, your own instinct learning, okay, and personal focus. Personal focus. Mostly, they give assignments to fulfill this constructivism. Okay? So, and collaborative and cooperative learning. Collaborative in the sense, when you do assignments in a group, you go and study, you do a field work. So, you have to meet a lot of people and you have to work with them. So, then you learn collaboratively. You learn something from them and they learn something from you. Collaborative and cooperative learning. Okay? So social constructivism in the classroom done through these things. Journaling, experiential activities, personal focuses, collaborative and corporate learning. Okay. Any questions? Hello?
No, miss.
Okay. Okay. There are criticism in this also. Okay. There are criticism in this also. Suggest that knowledge is neither given nor absolute. Because here there is no absolute knowledge is given. You have to do your own studies. The children have to do their own study and own learning. Okay? Not given or neither absolute. Often seen as less rigorous than traditional approaches to instruction. Now, when a person instructs or gives the materials to study and you study, they will give more things, but in constructive social constructive learning is solely depend on the person who is learning. So, it is often less rigorous than traditional approach to instruction. Okay, so the amount of learning can be lesser or limited. Okay, does not fit well with traditional age grouping and rigid terms semesters. Now, traditional things that we have semesters, in this semester we have to finish these things, all these things are very much structured. Social constructivism is not fit into that, because if you want to learn, you will learn whatever the amount you will learn. Some people will learn more, some people will learn less, some people will not learn at all. So this doesn't fit the traditional age grouping and rigid terms of semesters. The semester exam, within this period you have to learn this much of things. Those things doesn't available in this context. So it's not fitting the traditional method of study. Okay, so we are moving into the next one, multiple intelligence. Okay, remember the first three one: behavior, cognitive, social learning, social constructive. So these things are very, very informative and mostly considered as basics of learning theories. These are newly developed, multiple intelligence and all, brain-based and all, newly developed theories. Okay, so all these depends on mostly behaviorism or all these are emerged from those theories. Okay. So you will see something coming again and again because these things emerge from those theories itself. Multiple intelligences grew out of constructivism framed around metacognition. Grew out of constructivism framed around metacognition. Okay. Gardner is the founder of this multiple intelligence. Hold on, give me a second. Okay, all people are born with 8 intelligence. So, multiple intelligence in this theory, we believe all people are born with 8 intelligence. Okay, so that's why it says grew out with constructivism framed around metacognition. Okay, I'm using this word metacognition. Nobody seems to ask what it is. What is metacognition? What is cognition? That we know. Okay, it's a mental process of decision making and reasoning. The assumption of thoughts. Okay, metacognition is something more than that. Awareness and understanding of the one's own thought process. Now we understand and be aware what our thought processes are. It is one step further, one step developed than cognition. Metacognition is you know what your thought process is. Self-awareness of your thought process. That is metacognition. Okay? Understand? What is metacognition? Awareness and understanding of one's own thought process. Okay? Okay. Hope you took down. Doing your own social constructive work. Right. We are learning things you have to apply in your life also. Okay? All people are born with 8 intelligence. What are those? Verbal, linguistic. Everybody knows some language. Visual, spatial. You can see, visualize things. Logical, mathematical. Kinesthetic. It means touch and feel. Musical. Naturalist, interpersonal, intrapersonal. Interpersonal in the sense you maintain something with others. Intra, you maintain a relationship with you on your own. Okay. So those are the 8 intelligences we are born with. Enable students to, okay, is that true? Are we all have this 8? Okay. Mic's on. Is that true? Are we all born with these 8? You should have a question now. Mostly. What do you don't have? Tanya. You said mostly.
Searching for the meaning of naturalist.
Naturalist.
Yes.
Yeah, you learn to live with nature.
Yeah.
You breathe, you enjoy the sunrise, You enjoy the sunrise, you enjoy the breeze, huh? You enjoy breeze, everything. So being naturalist. What else? We live with crows. We don't refuse to stay with natural things, right? We should have questions now, don't we? Amrita,
Yeah, ma'am.
Sangali, any questions? Now, when I ask you questions, you should answer. Kanushika,
Yeah, ma'am.
ஏதாவது கேள்வி இருக்காமா?
இல்ல மிஸ் ஒண்ணும் இல்ல.
ஒண்ணுமில்ல. புரிஞ்சுதா எல்லாம்?
விளங்குச்சு மிஸ்.
ஓகே. புரியலன்னா கேட்கணும்.
சரிங்க.
We all born with this age. Okay. I'm asking you a question. People have born dumb and deaf. What about the linguistic? We said we all born with age intelligence now. Linguistic.
Yes.
People who born dumb. You didn't get that question.
We got
What do you think? If they are deaf, if a person born deaf, automatically they will be dumb. Why? If a person by birth, if he is deaf, he is automatically become dumb as well. Why is that? Why do you think? You all know that?
Yes.
yeah.
If a person born deaf, he will be automatically dumb. You all know
Yeah.
that? Why? Why?
Because once the kid is listening to us only, they are started to speak. Likewise, if they can't listen, they can't speak.
What are they using there? What are they using there? What is the theory that they are that is applied here?
They are signing language.
Now no. Now you said a child is listening to us and gathering the linguistic.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, what is the theory that is applied there? Social learning, isn't it?
Yeah.
You are
Excuse me,
learning something, but you are not applying.
ma'am. Rinosha's data is over. She said that she can't hear properly and her line is poor. So I think she left. Oh, she's in the class, I think.
Rino is there, but she left, I guess, no?
Yeah. Her data is very
Maybe.
poor. So I can send the link to her.
You send the link to her, okay?
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So there is the social learning theory comes there. The kid learns all these things, but we born with intelligence. That's why we can acquire this from outside. But those who born dumb and deaf, they also have their own way of communication. Sign languages, body languages, okay? All
Yes.
these things. So anyway, we are born with some linguistic talent, okay? So music.
Okay.
We all say, I can't sing, I can't dance, so I don't have a music talent. No. We all have rhythm. We blink, we walk. All these things has a rhythm, isn't it? So by birth, in the by birth, everybody has a musical intelligence. Okay. Before a kid starts talking, they start singing, they start humming. Okay. So that is musical intelligence. If it is getting developed with your born talents or practices or anything, that is a different story in their time. But we are born with all these 8 intelligence. Understand?
Yeah,
Go
ma'am.
back to the slide. Enables students to leverage their strengths and purposefully target and develop their weakness. Students to leverage their strengths and purposefully target and develop their weakness. So here we are born with this intelligence, but whatever, in whichever we are lacking, students are asked to focus on those things and develop the weakness point. Okay, so that is how this theory works. So when we are using multiple intelligence in the classroom, delivery of instructions via multiple mediums, right? We have lot of intelligence, so one person will learn in one way, other person will be using another intelligence, another person will use some other thing. So to fulfill all these learning patterns, to teach all these learners, we have to use multiple mediums in a classroom. Okay? You understand this? So linguistics, logical, interpersonal, intrapersonal, musical, visual, naturalistic, kinesthetic. So some people might learn through touching and experiencing. Some people just verbal things is enough. Some people they need a logic, or they need to numbers mathematically. So they need to learn through that. So to fulfill all these things, we use multiple methods. We use the flashcards, we use talking, we use some summarizing, we use some experience, we use some stories to prove things. All these things used to fulfill all these 8 intelligence and the learning patterns. Student-centered classroom. This classroom has to be student-centered. So when we are using this theory, the classroom will be a student-centered classroom. Okay? Authentic assessments. We do the assessment, authentic assessments. Self-directed learning. Okay? How you learn, how comfortable you are learning, you can use the learning pattern. Okay? Self-directed learning. Okay. Even multiple intelligence has critics. Lack of quantifiable evidence that MI exists. Now you can't quantify the evidence, isn't it? We say we have all 8 intelligence and all these things, but that cannot be proved in a quantified method, right? Lack of evidence that use of MI as a curricular and methodological approach has any discernible impact on learning. Now we can't say, okay, this is the learning method he is using, so because of this multiple intelligence theory, we are using this. So this is because of this reason he learned all this. We can't argue like that. It's not quantifiable. Suggestive of a departure from core curricular and standards. A curriculum, developing a curriculum is pretty difficult in this method, in this theory. Preparing a simple and understandable. Standardized curriculum is pretty difficult because the learning happens from the learner's side. Okay? Right. Any questions? We are moving to the last. Our time is running out. So brain-based learning is very simple, not very simple, pretty complicated, but in your, this thing is simply given. It grew out of neuroscience and constructivism. So neuroscience in the sense, you learn about neurology, the science of neurology, how the neurons work in the brain, and constructivism. According to that neuron work, how they construct a image or construct a learning pattern. So that's how brain-based learning theory constructed. Okay, these also, and Kane and G. Kane, E. Jensen, they are the founders of this learning theory. 12 governing principles in this. There are 12 governing principles in this. One is brain is a parallel processor. That is true. We know brain is a parallel processor. Whole body learning. You learn from the whole body. A search for meaning. Always you search for a meaning. Patterning. Emotions are critical in this study. Emotions are critical. Processing. This theory is trying to fulfill all the loopholes of all other theorems. We have loopholes, criticism in all the theories. So this is trying to fulfill all those spaces, fill those spaces. Okay. Emotions are critical. Processing of parts and wholes. Focused attention and peripheral perceptions. Conscious and unconscious processes. Several types of memory. How many memory types we have? Normally, how many memory types?
3.
3. What are those? What are those? Long term? Somebody? What are those? யாரும் இல்லையா? All of you. Who said 3?
Me, Amrita.
Amrita. What are those 3? Long term, short term?
Sensory.
Sensory. Okay. Right. So, embedded learning sticks, challenge and threat. Every brain is unique. So, these are the 12 principles of brain-based learning. Okay. So, brain-based learning when we are using in the classroom, opportunities for group learning, they give opportunities for group learning. So by group learning, you learn all the patterns of learning will be incorporated in one group. So opportunities for group learning, regular environmental changes. You don't always sit in the classroom and learn. You change the environment to do the learning in a proper way. And multisensory environment, right? So in our learning methods, normally when we learn counseling, there will be a class where we are blindfolded and stuck to the chair and asked to listen to the client. So you only can hear the client, you can't touch, you can't feel, you can't see. You can only hear, and you have to relate to the feelings, and you have to listen to the modulation and do the counseling. So you'll be blindfolded. Okay? So multisensory. You use all your senses to learn. So there is a learning type in our counseling learning sessions, right? Because we have to listen, not to judge, not to come to any conclusions by the looks or anything. So only by the listening we'll be able to answer, right? That is why you see in the coach, you see the statue there who is holding a this thing blindfolded, because you can't judge by looks or anything. That's why that statue is blindfolded. So same thing we do in the counseling as well. Okay. So multisensory environment and opportunities for self-expression and making personal connections to content. Opportunity is given for self-expression and making personal connection to content. And community-based learning. We allow them to do community-based learning. Okay. So the brain is given. So you can see how your brain look like, which you don't use much. The frontal lobe, that is where all your thoughts, reasoning, behavior, memories are kept. Smell is in your front lobe. Movements are controlled by your front lobe. And partial lobe, sensation, sensory perception, hearing, everything. So occipital lobe, left, speech, motion, sensation, right, and vision and everything. And temporal lobe, behavior, memory, hearing, and vision pathway, emotions. So cerebral, balance. Okay. So the parts of the brain and what are the things that those lobes are controlling is given. Don't worry, this is just for your information. Okay. Don't worry that you have to draw and make parts and all these things. Nothing to worry, just for your information is given. Okay. Right. So critics of BBL, research conducted by neuroscientists, not teachers and educational researchers. All these researchers in this theory has been done by neuroscientists, not by the teachers and educational researchers. Okay. So that is one drawback in this BBL to take into consideration in educational psychology. Lack of understanding of the brain itself makes brain-based learning questionable. Now, we all don't have much understanding of the brain functions, right? So that will create more questions on brain-based learning. Individual principles have been scientifically questioned. All the individual principles have been scientifically questioned in this theory. So that is also one drawback. Okay. Right. We are coming to the last part of this thing. So any questions? And one thing I have to tell you, this is not something that I made. This has been given, so I didn't make this whatever the thing that you are seeing in this. I got it. So there will be mistakes here and there. If you find anything, just let me know. Okay. Right. Any questions so far? We have completed this. Learning types. Any questions so far? All unmute your mics, please. At least I want to hear everyone. Unmute your mics. Okay. Any questions? Tanya, Amrita,
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Let me.
No, ma'am.
Pangavi. No questions. Okay. You all have to do a homework. As usual, you have to write the feedback and the
Okay.
learning. Okay? That has to be done. And go through the whatever the notes given properly and do the writing some source. Complete the journaling. Right? If you have any questions, you can ask me tomorrow.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Okay.
Okay? Okay. So have a nice day. Be safe. We'll meet up
Oh, ma'am.
soon if everything goes well. Everybody will meet up soon. So have a nice day, darling. I'll
Take
see you
care,
tomorrow.
ma'am. God bless you.
You too. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Miss.
Thank you.
In the
who's
recording,
hosting? You
everybody
can.
இதாக்கு. Nishana.
Who's hosting?
Me.
Amrita.
Yeah.
Sangavi.
Me and
Okay.
Sangavi.
Okay. So you can stop the recording.
நான் ஸ்டாப் பண்றேன்.
Oh, stop பண்ணுங்க.
Okay.
Okay.